done shows all across the Midwest. He works every club in the area. He is the best bit machine coming out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Schmidt.
Thank you, thank you. We should all hope nothing bad happens to Connor's mother-in-law. She's got some pretty strong video evidence against him. Also, let's hope Joaquin survives the night too, all right? No one needs to get framed for a crime from this. Give it up for Milwaukee Comedy one more time. That's incredible news. Very happy to get my club in the city again. I'm happy to be a part of this show. To tell you a little bit about myself, I have never caught anyone looking at pornography on a library computer, but I keep trying. Because I want to see what that experience feels like the other way around. I gotta know if they're judging me as hard as I'm judging myself. Something else about me, I believe strongly in inconveniencing paramedics, and that's a hill I'll die on. I like hearing people realize a joke. You could probably tell I do have a bit of an old-fashioned sense of humor, but I will also be talking about contemporary issues. For example, I just flew in from a conference on the implementation of gender neutrality in the workplace, and boy or girl are my arms tired. That's what I was waiting for right there. We will get serious though. I am a lifetime Milwaukee, lived in Milwaukee my whole life. Anyone else give it up? It's a good city for when you believe in yourself just enough, you know? Enough to make it through the day, but not to go a whole lot further. I like Milwaukee. It is kind of a city of pluses and minuses though. Whenever I travel and people find out this is where I'm from, there's only 3 things they bring up to talk about. Either they bring up beer, they bring up cheese, or they bring up Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, unfortunately those are our 3 claims to fame, which I gotta say does paint a pretty accurate portrait of the city. There is something about life here that makes you either want to drink your feelings, eat your feelings, or eat your neighbors. Which is why you gotta look out for anyone who's sober and lactose intolerant in Milwaukee. Because how are they quieting those demons? I'm sober, but I still eat cheese, so you don't gotta worry about me. I do think the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing screwed up my head a little bit though, because I was in like 6th grade when all that news happened. And like, I was a kid who really loved horror movies. I had kind of a wild imagination. And I told my cousin I was scared and asked him, what if this murderer escapes from jail? And what if he comes and kills me? And my cousin said, you don't have to worry about that. He only killed gay dudes. And I said, oh. And then proceeded to ask myself, what if I'm gay? And what you gotta understand is that's the first time that thought had ever crossed my mind at all. Which means to this day, I can't be entirely certain if my heterosexuality is the product of nature, or if Jeffrey Dahmer scared me straight. And that does play with my psyche a little bit, knowing Jeffrey Dahmer possibly played a role in my psychosexual development. By the way, before I move on, I want to say I wouldn't have any problem with being gay if I were. I celebrate everybody's lifestyle. I just want everyone to be happy. And I even think dudes got to stop making fun of each other by calling each other gay all the time. I think we do it too much, you know? And I'm not even saying stop entirely. I'm saying just save it for when it actually applies. I think that's fair. Show a little restraint. Right? Like, I'll give you an example. I was at a barbecue restaurant with a friend of mine, and I just hate getting really messy when I eat, so I was using a fork. And predictably, my friend called me gay for that. I see like 3 dudes nodding in the darkness right now. I get it. I grew up in the 80s. Manners are so gay. You know, let's leave that thinking behind. There is nothing inherently sexual about using silverware. But do you know how my friend proceeded to clean off his fingers? Yeah, if any of you haven't arrived at the image mentally yet, deep-throating each and every one of them. All of them in there at once. Yeah. Every train in the tunnel. And now I found that to legitimately be pretty gay. Because I was extremely turned on. I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me? How have you never mentioned having no gag reflex before? Maybe Jeffrey Dahmer really did screw me up. Spilled a bowl of sauce on my lap and was like, hey, me next. So I guess what I would like you to take away from this is let's pull back on the casual homophobia. But also, don't be a cock tease, all right? Use a napkin. Don't send signals you're not going to make good on. I did mention I was sober before, a little over a year in. Give it up for that. Thank you, and now stop giving it up, because the reason I got sober was after getting a DUI. So it's a plus and minus of a situation, you know? I feel two waves of judgment whenever I make this confession. I feel the first group of people judge me for getting a DUI, and then I feel the second group judge me for quitting drinking over it. I get it, it's very Wisconsin, but it's fine. I actually enjoy being sober, I found, you know? I think some people come to find they don't need to drink to have fun, and I realized I just don't need to have fun. It's actually a lot easier without it, you know? This was the most relaxed summer of my life. I had zero FOMO whatsoever. You know, and I'm glad it's come to me very naturally, because my friends have not been supportive. I have one friend who's always trying to talk me into drinking again. We were at a party, he was like, why can't you just drink and then not drive? And I was like, that is a brilliant idea. Where were you a year ago with that counsel? He caught me drinking a soda. He was like, you know, that is actually worse for you than beer. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to drink a case of these. I'm never going to find out how many Dr. Peppers it takes to almost get me to T-bone a cop, but I can't tell you that about PBR. Or I can give you the approximate figure. You know, I think in my case, Pepsi will be okay for the betterment of everybody. I decided to quit drinking in jail. Pretty badass, right? Feels like I have a tattoo every time I say that, you know? I made some permanent choice in there. I did not care for jail. It was not a lot of fun. I was in lockup for less than 24 hours, and I couldn't even make it through that without having to suck a dick. Yeah, and that wasn't easy because I was in solitary. I almost broke my neck. Maybe Epstein didn't mean to kill himself. Maybe they just found him that way, and they were like, you know what? Let's say this was a bed sheet, because this is going to be a nightmare to write up. So, I do a lot of different shows for comedy. It's great doing a festival, something geared around comedy. Sometimes I take gigs that don't suit me quite as well. A couple summers ago, I was asked if I wanted to perform at a conservative gathering in the park, a grand old picnic, if you will. And you can all look at me and tell I'm not the guy for that gig, right? My sole voting interest is legalizing weed. But I did take the gig because they did something kind of sneaky. They offered me more money than the value of my principles, which, to be honest, was just any amount of money. You know, guys just gotta get paid. And once I take a show like that, I do kind of look forward to it as a challenge, because I know I'm not gonna be able to do my usual set. I'm gonna have to kind of adjust to the situation. I was surprised with this one when the organizers told me how relaxed they were on the restrictions. They were like, all right, here's the deal. You can swear, you can talk about anything. All we ask is no pedophile jokes. Yeah, I found that to be alarmingly specific. Right? If that's on a whole list of topics that are out of bounds, that's pretty reasonable. But by itself, that makes it sound like there are going to be pedophiles there. And they don't like being teased about it. Leave us alone. This is the one day we get to come to the park. Doesn't sound like a fun audience, does it? Just a bunch of uppity child molesters hanging out by the swing set, grumbling about how age of consent should be states' rights. No, thank you. Not the gig for me. So I got back to the organizers. I was like, hey, I want you to be straight with me. Are there going to be pedophiles in this audience? Because if there are, I will need to be paid more for my conscience. And what's weird is they got back to me and didn't say yes or no. They only asked how much. And that's when I found out how much my conscience costs. I'm not going to share the dollar figure with you, but I will assure you it was at least 18. I'm not in love with that one either, but it needs a button there. I need something just to get to the next step. It is fun doing comedy, though. I like getting out on the road when I can. Sometimes that means going through scary weather. One time I was driving to a show, I was on the freeway going through a real heavy downpour, and I guess I ended up going right through a tornado. Which one's the bad one again? Watch or warning? Warning, that's where they've seen one. I get those two mixed up all the time because I've never lived in a mobile home. So it's never been a detail I've had to obsess over, okay? Also, I naturally hang out in a lot of basements anyway. For example, right now. This is my natural environment. But yeah, I guess I went through a warning, and it said to seek shelter immediately, but I had no clue because the tone they use for severe weather is the same one they use for an Amber Alert. So I just ignored it, as any of us would do. You know, my only thought is I was driving and I was like, my God, who is out kidnapping kids in this weather? Are you kidding me? What a competitor. I mean, truly, no days off. However, then I thought about it a little more, and I suppose there never would be an easier time to lure someone into your windowless van, would there? Right? You don't even need candy when you have salvation to offer. Just ask the Catholic Church. Oh, okay, you're giving me that. Did you like it, though? Did you like that one? Thank you, because they hated it at the Republican picnic. Fortunately, not as much of a crowd pleaser there. I love doing comedy. I like music a lot, too. Everyone love music? Give it up for music. So cool. It's so cool. I gotta admit, musicians are cooler than comedians. I can't compete with that. When a musician does everything right on stage, everyone in the audience wants to be them. When a comic does everything right on stage, no one in the audience wants to be them. Which is why musicians get to have groupies and comedians have to settle for strained relationships. Sometimes I'll get booked to perform with musical acts, and that's a really tough energy to match. A couple years ago, I got spotted at a county fair, and I was pretty excited. I was like, there would probably be a lot of people there. But when I showed up, I found out I was gonna have to follow a Journey tribute act. Yeah, you know how daunting that is? You know how many people who go to county fairs love Journey? All of them. Everyone at a county fair, Journey is their favorite band. Further, do you know how many people who go to county fairs have no clue who I am? Another 100%, yes, full overlap. So I'm aware, if I can't get on stage and grab this audience's attention immediately, they are all just gonna hit the corn dog stand on me. You know, I'm gonna be up there in front of an empty tent, and that's a unique indignity I don't wanna suffer. So I'm really racking my brain. I'm like, what can I say to get the audience's attention? You know, and I'm watching the band perform. They were too good. They were, at this point, a competent Journey tribute act is as good as seeing Journey themselves, you know? How can I match that? They have a award-winning catalog of hits to perform. I gotta do my own stuff. It's not fair. You know, I should be giving me credit for that. And I didn't think I was gonna pull it off. But then right before the band played their last song, the singer dedicated it to his stepson. And I was like, oh, I got it. I know exactly what to say here. I went up, I said, give it up for the band one more time. They were incredible. Can you believe that guy's a stepdad and performs in a cover band? What is the situation here? Does he just refuse to compose original material? Oh yeah, you hear the bass in that response? That got him paying attention. I ended up having a pretty good set. It felt like a win. But then I made the mistake of lingering on the fairgrounds after the show. And I happened to run into fake Steve Perry. And I learned in that instant that apparently musicians are a lot more sensitive to roasting than all of my comedy friends. Because he did not look happy. He came right at me, like a midnight train going anywhere. I have to write most of my own stuff. And without saying a word, he hit me with one of those dad pokes to the chest, right in the sternum. I suppose in this case it was a stepdad poke to the chest. And he was like, hey, I didn't like you talking about me up there. How would you feel if I got on stage and I performed a song about what a bad comedian you are? And I said, well, that would absolutely hurt my feelings, but first someone else would have to write and record that song. Oh yeah, I got him twice. Thank you very much. I'm Chris Schmidt, for Cody.